and today we got to play Dreams of Tomorrow. Now, there is a micro game coming out shortly of this, but we had to play the first one first.
Well, it's not this. It's the sequel to this.
Yeah, sequel to this. So I'm excited to get to it. But before we get into this one, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Randy, can you tell us more about Dreams of Tomorrow?
Sure can. This is a 2019 release. Board Game Geek currently has a rating for 6.3 for this and a rank of 10,467. It's a 1 to 6 player game, average length of 45 minutes, age 8 and up, probably about right. There is a little bit of iconography, but it's not bad, and there's some cheat sheets for that. Designed by Philip Falcon Perry, art by Katie Cow and James Massino. Published by Weird Giraffe Games. The MSRP on this is $29. It's a little hard to find. I found a copy on it. I found it's for sale, a couple copies actually, on Amazon for $26. Noble Knight has it for $24.95, but Card House and Miniature Market are usual go-tos, so neither one have it in stock. It is on eBay, but it's higher priced on eBay, so I would try to get the Amazon copy or the Noble Knight one.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the actual quality of components. So we have our standard cubes that we always see, and we have standard meeples. I do like their color choices. There is purple. There is no linen finish. They decided to go with a glossy.
But the cards are like a tarot size.
They are tarot size thickness.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't need to be super thick because they are literally, you don't do any, you only shuffle once at the beginning of the game. So I thought that was fine.
Well, unless you run out of cards, but yeah, generally it's once or twice in the game.
Yeah, so it's not too horrible.
Meeples, although they're a little bit different. They almost look like they have bell bottoms on, but they're cut a little differently than what you normally see in meeple. But they're pretty much meeples.
Yeah, they're pretty much meeples. Yeah, so there's not.
And you get a horse.
Aha, for the nightmare. So I will say, not a lot here. You know, I'm at. What are you at?
Probably a 6. I mean, it's
okay.
The cards, they're not great stock, but they work fine. And, you know, the player boards are kind of meh as far as they're not really cardboard. They're just, you know, card stock. And there's nothing outstanding about it.
But I will say,
but I like the custom horse. Yeah, and the price point being what it is, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, the price point really, you know, this is a really good easy, accessible game for a lot of people. So, all right. So then let's talk about the theme. The artwork is breathtaking.
It's beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful. This is where they put the money, guys, and they did a great job. There's just so many great pictures.
Yeah.
And, you know, the thing is each one's different. Like, so this one is in the same suit, if you will. That's being a little bit generic, but yeah. But you see, like, this one has a hole in it. You're literally creating memories, and there is a story. So if you're able to connect these, it's freaking awesome because you can kind of see what happened.
And they go up with power. So there's, like, more stuff on the ones that are higher numbered. So you see more, you know, there's one where the city's being destroyed. You've got, you know, the ones where there's ships invading, where there's more and more ships coming in. Just all kinds of different little stories that are in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really where this thing shines. I love all the artwork. I think it's breathtaking. The stories that are being told, you know, is phenomenal. What would you score it?
Well, it's kind of strange because I love the artwork of the dream cards. But the contrast is you've got a pure black and pure white on the spaces that you move around the board, which are very basic. They're just the icons. I mean, they get the job done, but there's nothing to the eye.
Well, they spent all the art.
They did on the dream. Because the dreams are incredible. So, yeah, it's kind of two-sided dichotomy you've got going here. I'm probably good because of that. I'll probably give it a 7.5. I probably would have gone higher if the board itself would have been either a board and it had, you know, some art on it, you know, just something more than just the black and the pure white.
I mean, he keeps it simple, but at the same time, I absolutely agree with you. You have such gorgeous cards, you know, and even what they did with this one, it wasn't so much art as the color variation, which
just
still
to market that it's your first player is kind of a rainbow.
Yeah. Oh, but yours is.
Yeah,
Okay.
the other ones are all basic. The rainbow is just for the first player one.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, and I agree with your score as well. I think this could have, if they had actually done something for the board, it would have been a lot happier. But I get it, right? It keeps it simple and mainstream to play. All right, so then let's then talk about the rule book. What did you think of the rule book overall?
The rule book was pretty good. They have the rule book is actually 16 pages. It's it doesn't really have the pictures. That's the one complaint I have. No pictures of the components. So you've got what the descriptions are. In this case, it's pretty easy to tell because most of them either saying it's the cards or the figures or the tokens or what have you.
Well, there's not a lot going on.
There's not a lot of confusion. It's just I always like to see the pictures of the items. The actual setup is very simple because all you're doing is dealing out cards, and there's specific numbers on the cards to tell you the order of the board cards.
Yeah.
You're dealing out a certain number based on player count of these dream cards. And then, getting into the gameplay is very easy. Yeah, there's the different costs. Everything is on the cheat sheet that you really need. The rule book is probably overstating a lot of these things. Because this cheat sheet is very well done. It tells you exactly, what the scoring is. It tells you how much you have to pay to move. You've
got the icon key here. That works for both sides. You've got your movement, clear the dream scale. Like it's all there, and it keeps it very straightforward and very accessible to new players.
Yeah. The only problem we had with the rules was there's a move number in spaces, and it shows arrows, which would indicate that you have to move that number of spaces. And in the rules, it specifically states you can't alter them by paying resources, which makes sense. So we assumed you could have had to move that number, but then when you look at the description of one that actually only has 2 arrows, not the 3 arrow one, it says 1 or 2 arrow to move 1 or 2 spaces. Well, that probably means you're supposed to move 1, 2, or 3 spaces on the card with the arrows. So we were playing it. I ended up suffering a penalty in the game.
No. You weren't the only one who suffered because that was what I asked from the very beginning. Well,
there was nothing in the rule to tell you that. So
because it was funny because this is what was funny. This is Randy. Sorry, I'm detouring us a little bit. So I asked Randy. I said, Randy, do you have to move 3? Okay, and he goes, yeah. Didn't look at it, didn't second guess it, nothing. He was like, yes. So I'm like, okay. 3/4 of the way into the game, Randy's like, well, I'm going to double check that because it behooves him to double check this. Then he goes and double checks it, okay? So all I'm saying, and I told him, I said, doesn't matter. You have to play it this way because you told me from the very beginning, this is the way we're playing. So now if we change it, if at the end, at a new game, that's fine. But for... It was like, wait a second. You're willing to check it for you, but not for me.
Yeah. So given the fact that the rules are fairly straightforward and self-explanatory, but there was some confusion about some of the points in it because they didn't have any clarifications for those icons other than what it says here. I'll probably go ahead and give it a 7. I don't think it's a bad book. I think it's really good. I think it's actually wordier than it needs to be, but it leaves out some of the components, like descriptions specifically in detail what the icons do.
Unless it is literally you can just move 3 spaces and then it was fine.
Well, yeah, but when the one that has 2 arrows on it says specifically 1 or 2 spaces.
Well, but exactly, that one specifically says it where the other one doesn't. And that's the thing is there isn't, you can only,
well, it's the same picture. It's just got 2 arrows versus 3. So
yeah, well, we've looked at icon is not all equal. So we've experienced that. But, that is part of the, question mark. We don't know. All right, so let's move. I will say these things are the bomb diggity. So I'm giving this a 9 because I love
we've seen this
these.
with Weird Giraffe in general. All their games really have really good cheat sheets in them.
Exactly, which is one of the reasons why I love their games. Okay, so let's move on. So let's then talk about the actual gameplay. At the beginning of the game, you're basically going to put your cubes on the little white mark boxes, which makes it super easy because they're kind of
the only one that's
highlighted.
a little confusing is there's a direction on here that shows clockwise or counterclockwise, and it's not highlighted quite the same, but it's pretty clear.
Yeah, it is pretty clear. Okay, so the first thing to do is everyone is going to be getting one of these cards.
You normally either can pick from the choices here, but the first time you play, it says to just randomly deal one out.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to pay the experience cost on it.
So in this case, this is going to be 1.
I have to pay 5 because I got a really cool one.
Aw.
You can't have it.
All right, so I'm going to have this one. All right, so then I'm going to move here. I'm going to get some hope. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, and then I'm going to move here and get experience because I just paid all my experience out for that card.
Oh, now, because I got 4 hope, he gets 2 hope, and because he got 4 experience, I'm going to get 2 experience.
So it varies based upon player count, how much the distribution is, but you basically, whenever you take an action that gets you resources, everybody else is going to benefit as well, but with lesser.
Correct. All right, so then I am going to do a special ability. I'm going to be able to flip a card and then move
I hate that so much.
2. I do too. Was it up to 2? You said it was up to 2?
Yes.
Okay, so in this case, then I'm going to go here. I'm going to pick out another card. I don't really want to. Let's see.
So when you're picking the cards, there's icons in the upper left and the bottom left corner that you want to match with the cards you have, so you can create what they call resonance in this game, because you get basically like set collection. You get this if you can make a contiguous path of those, you get points for the longer.
Right, but you also get special abilities by having them over here. So you may end up picking a card just for the special abilities.
Yeah, because each card has its own distinct abilities on it.
Now, Randy gets 2 experience for me going there.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to follow suit and go right there with you. And I'm going to get the one that matches mine, because there's also set collection in having the same pattern on them, so, or at least the same series. So I have to pay 4 experience. And you gain 2. But now I've got 2 that go together because they will automatically match in the left and right corners. So I've got 2 that perfectly match each other.
Okay. All right. All right. So I don't want to quite weave yet. I don't want to quite commit.
So when she mentions weaving, the cards that we have in play now are not going to score us any points until we actually can weave them into a story. So we're going to, or a dream sequence. So we're going to put one, whenever you take the weave action, you'll choose the card, you pay the cost as picture on it, which is always in creativity and hope, and you're going to put it below your board, and that will be the either start of your sequence, but you can choose to place future ones on the either end of the chain.
Okay. Yeah, so I took my turn. Basically, I ended up landing on the tiling of something, so I was able to flip this card back and then move up to 2, which I ended up going to the hope. Make sure you grab your 2 hope.
Oh.
And that is my turn. Now you're up.
All right. Well, I will go over here. There's one space here that lets you choose 3 of any good and a resource. I will. And
I get a creativity.
3 creativity, and you get 1 creativity for me doing it.
Okay, great. Okay. I am going to now do some more creativity because it sounds like a good plan. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go here, and I'm going to trigger mine that lets me swap places with you.
Aw, man.
And then I get to move 1 or 2 spaces, and I will go, let's see, well, I'll go here. I will go ahead and get a wild, because this one here has kind of a rainbow at the top, but it's black at the bottom. So the top has a sequence that has a circle, a moon, and a star. So it actually is kind of not quite a universal match, because there's like 6 symbols you can get, but it's got 3 of the 6 symbols. So it will match automatically to my moon at the top, but not to the triangles below. But if I get another one of that same wild, I'll match all 3 of those symbols, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go and get me some creativity because I can.
All right, well, now you've given me a whole bunch of creativity, and I've got enough of the hope, so I'm going to go ahead and weave my dream. So I'm going to choose to go ahead and put my big 5-pointer down here, and I pay 5 creativity, which is all I have, and 4 hope, which is all I have. You gain 2 hope for me doing it. And I now have started my chain. Now, depending on the player count, you will either play until someone has played their 5th dream into their sequence, or you will play 4 if you're playing with 6 players.
Yep, and you know what? That's essentially the game.
Yeah, at the end, you add up the points you get from the base cards themselves, which is 5 in this card, and then you'll add up based upon that resonance chain, which varies based upon each one of the symbols, the lengths of the links that you have together. So you could actually have star, star, moon, star, star, and you'd have 2 star sequences, or there are 2 lengths.
Yeah, so you need to make sure you play them when it is appropriate. But, oh yeah, because it is my turn. Yeah, anything else before we get going? And
no, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to
Oh, we
the
got to
game.
rate it. What are you going to rate it?
Yeah, as far as the rating goes, I mean, I know your mom really loved this game.
Mom did. She kicked our butts.
Yes, she did. That's probably why she loved it so much. As far as I think it's a fun little game. I wish the cards were little. I mean, the board being the cards kind of bothers me, but it makes sense because you're manipulating. They're changing the sequence in some of them, which is a fun little aspect of the game. And so I understand it. It'd be nice if they were like more cardboard. You could have a little more feel to them, because it's also kind of a pain on the table to try to move cards and pick them up, to get especially with no fingernails like I got, so,
not my problem.
Yeah. So, I like the game. I like the concept of it. I think it's beautiful. Gameplay wise, it's okay. I'll give it a 6.5. I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it is definitely a beginner's game.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
That works. Like I said, Mom absolutely loved it. She would probably rate it a lot higher. She really did enjoy it. But she does like the lighter feel of the games, and I think that this suits that kind of thing. And I do think it's breathtaking. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, there is an expansion coming out. Well, not an expansion.
The expansions in the game box. Well, you get this the Nightmare in the game box. This is a separate. But the Nightmare basically adds a robot player that moves counterclockwise to everybody, and the card, you flip one of these dream cards up, and it has whatever the icon's in the upper corner tells you what he does. So sometimes he'll manipulate the cards, sometimes he'll wipe the board. He does different things.
Well, I think that would make it a lot more interesting, actually. Yeah. So for us, that might be the route that we need to go.
And then there's a little mini expansion, Awaken, which just has basically some additional sets of cards in it. Mm-hmm. And it also, add some of the cards to have different functions, one of which actually has the Dream Weave action on the card, which that's new because it's not on any of the cards. So yeah that's pretty cool. I think that adds a little depth to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely check out the expansions if maybe you want something a little bit more meatier. But if you have some friends that kind of keep it light, this is definitely the route that you should check it out. I think it's good. All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.